Zoe Diana Draelos, and I'm very happy to share with you some concepts that I developed regarding the skin health and beauty pyramid. I would like to disclose that I'm a consultant for Cantabria Labs, who is the sponsor of this symposium. So what exactly does a dermatologist do when a patient comes in and wants skincare recommendations? There are so many products available for purchase in the commercial marketplace that it's difficult to know which products to recommend for a given patient. It's also very important to customize product recommendations for each patient to meet their unique needs. Where exactly do you start? How do you organize it so you as a dermatologist can give important recommendations? But furthermore, how do you organize it for your patients so they know how to apply the products and which products are being selected for which purpose? So basically, I worked on and developed the Skin Health and Beauty Pyramid to have an organized approach to address all currently available aspects of anti-aging technology. Here's the pyramid. It's a three-part structure. The bottom of the pyramid deals with protection of the skin, sort of the basics of skin care. The middle of the pyramid deals with renewal. And finally, the top of the pyramid deals with ingredients and formulations that can encourage activation and regeneration of the skin. Let's take a look and evaluate each of these levels of the pyramid in order individually. Now, the basis for all products that are applied to the face that are found in this pyramid is the moisturizer. You might say the moisturizer is the vehicle that brings the active ingredient to the skin. Thus, cosmeceutical moisturizers are the chassis for delivery of these active agents that satisfy the needs of the pyramid. A moisturizer must restore and maintain the brick and mortar model of the stratum corneum, where we have protein-rich corneocytes surrounded by lipids. This creates a waterproof protective barrier, with the ordered epidermal lipids being very important as they are covalently bound on the corneocyte surface. It is this brick and mortar model that we're trying to beautify that leads to young-looking skin. So all of the ingredients that we're going to be talking about in this pyramid basically go into a moisturizer for delivery to the skin. Let's talk about the pyramidal base first, fundamental protection. Protection is very important, not only from the sun, but also from other exogenous sources of reactive oxygen species such as pollution. Sunscreens are vital to the skin. Everyone, for the basis of protection, should use an SPF 30+ sunscreen on a daily basis. Sunscreen-containing facial moisturizers are an excellent way to get photoprotection that can be applied and protect not only against UVA and UVB radiation, but also infrared and visible radiation, or recently discovered sources of photoaging. If the patient's going to be outdoors for a longer period of time, a sunscreen containing facial moisturizer is just not enough. A water-resistant sunscreen should be recommended as well. The best sunscreens combine ingredients that are both organic and inorganic. Organic sunscreen ingredients function by absorbing a photon of light energy and converting it into heat. Thus, the sunscreen ingredient itself gets degraded in the process. This degradation means that that ingredient cannot function again. So salicylates and cinemates are examples of organic sunscreens, and this is why you need to reapply every 2 hours, because organic sunscreen agents actually get consumed. In addition to organic agents, we have inorganic agents. Inorganic agents either absorb or reflect the energy. And examples of these are the minerals like titanium dioxide and zinc oxide. So a good sunscreen will combine organic ingredients that get degraded in the process of photoprotection and inorganic ingredients that do not get degraded in the process. After sunscreens, it's important to recognize that there are other substances that can lead to photoprotection. Basically, a sunscreen stops on the skin surface the photons of energy from reaching oxygen that is contained within the skin. But we all know that sunscreens do not work 100%. Therefore, there is a need to, if you will, take care of those oxygen radicals that are produced by photons of light energy that escaped or got away from the sunscreen. Most antioxidants are based on botanical ingredients. Botanicals are a likely source because plants do indeed live in an outdoor environment rich in UV radiation. Basically, what an antioxidant needs to do is to donate an electron to a reactive oxygen species. So if you look at my picture here to the upper left, you see we have UV light striking oxygen, removing an electron to create a reactive oxygen species that can then be replaced by an antioxidant. Once that electron is replaced, the oxygen species is no longer reactive and it doesn't damage DNA. Thus, antioxidants, while they do not contribute to the SPF of the product, do contribute to important photoprotection necessary to protect DNA. And remember that it is damaged DNA that leads to photoaging, but at the end point also leads to the production of skin cancer. Thus, topical antioxidants can supplement sunscreen photoprotection, even though they do not contribute to the SPF. Basically, antioxidants protect against the damaging effects of solar radiation that were not stopped by sunscreen. In this particular article here, the author stated that broad-spectrum UV photoprotection only basically prevents the formation of free radicals by 55%. Thus, the topical delivery of antioxidants can provide a very nice complement to the UV filters that are typically found in sunscreens to neutralize reactive oxygen species. Now, there are still photons of radiation that will get through the sunscreen, that will get through the antioxidants and damage DNA. The third and more important research area in cosmeceutical technology is the production of DNA repair enzymes. These enzymes attempt to repair the DNA that was damaged by the reactive oxygen species. Basically, DNA damage from UV results in cyclobutane pyrimidine dimers and guanine oxidation. DNA repair agents try to enhance the body's own natural DNA repair process and include enzymes such as endonuclease, photolyase, and glycosylases. Plant extracts and vitamins are actually able to induce some of this DNA repair, ingredients such as Polypodium leucotomus extract and niacinamide. Clearly, DNA repair is an active area of research at this time in cosmeceutical technology, but these are the three agents that form the basis for repair. You have your sunscreens, you have your antioxidants, and you have your DNA repair. Now let's move on from the protection level of the triangle to the renewal, which is the middle of the triangle, dealing with renewal and transformation. The two important ingredients in this area are retinoids to retinize the skin and alpha hydroxy acids to induce exfoliation. Let's evaluate these ingredients. Of the hydroxy acids, the alpha hydroxy acids are the most used. These include small molecules such as glycolic acid, lactic acid, and malic acid. It's important to recognize that these hydroxy acids work by disrupting the ionic bonds between the corneocytes. By disrupting those bonds, they actually induce exfoliation, which allows the skin to appear smoother and softer underneath. The problem is that these low molecular weight molecules, such as glycolic acid, can rapidly whip to the dermis, causing stinging and burning. Thus, it's very important to be sure that the alpha hydroxy acids are used sparingly so you do not induce irritation. Irritation will make the skin sensitive, red, itchy, stinging, and burning. Thus, alpha hydroxy acids are important to induce exfoliation, but not too aggressively because you can indeed damage the skin. In addition to exfoliation, retinoids are also important. There are prescription retinoids available, such as tretinoin and tazarotene, that have been approved for anti-aging purposes. But there are also over-the-counter retinoids that are important, such as retinol, the vitamin form of vitamin A, and retinaldehyde. Retinoids basically reverse some of the most important changes that occur with photoaging. These include thickening of the epidermis induced by retinoids, increasing the height of the reedy ridges, normalization of melanocyte function, and increasing dermal fibroblasts by increasing collagen production. Thus, all of these anti-aging characteristics can be ascribed to retinoids. Retinoids are very important in the anti-aging pyramid because they're able to work through receptors. When a retinoid binds to the receptor through retinol binding protein, an activity basically magnifies and cascades. Thus, one retinoid molecule can have a much far-reaching effect because it is receptor mediated. However, irritation can also be a problem with retinoids, and the face does undergo a retinization process during the first 4 weeks, where peeling, itching, stinging, and burning may be seen. Nevertheless, alpha hydroxy acids and retinoids are important middle parts of the triangle for the renewal of the skin. Now let's move on to the top of the triangle, which optimizes the skin through activation and regeneration. Activation and regeneration involve 3 very important areas. First, to induce firming of the skin. Second, to repair procedure damage induced, such as laser resurfacing, etc. And also, this particular top of the pyramid offers alternatives for skin that is too sensitive for the use of alpha hydroxy acids and retinoids. In this top of the pyramid for activation and regeneration, we see peptides and growth factors being the 2 most important ingredients. Let's talk about peptides first. There are 3 classes of peptides that can be used for cosmeceutical rejuvenation of the skin. These include carrier peptides that carry an active ingredient, but the peptide itself is not the active ingredient. The second category are signal peptides that give a signal to initiate some type of biologic event. And third, we have neurotransmitter peptides that attempt to modulate nerve-muscle interaction. Let's evaluate each of these categories of peptides individually. First, the carrier peptides. Remember that peptides are composed of amino acids. They're what we eat when we consume proteins. Basically, peptides are broken down proteins. They are broken down because that makes it easier for them to get absorbed into the skin. And carrier peptides basically are a peptide sequence. The most commonly used one is GHK-Cu. That's glycyl histidylysine. The Cu stands for copper because this is a carrier peptide that was designed to deliver copper into the skin. Why? Because copper is a necessary cofactor in wound healing. So this product was originally introduced in the pharmaceutical realm to promote wound healing. But in this case, the peptide actually sits in an open wound devoid of stratum corneum. The penetration of peptides through the stratum corneum can be very challenging because remember, proteins are some of the most allergenic substances in the world today. Thus, the stratum corneum is very carefully designed to prevent the penetration of proteins, which could result in anaphylactic shock and death. This particular peptide was isolated from plasma. It was combined with copper and then put in wound healing, and from there it was adapted to use in the cosmeceutical realm. A second category of peptides beyond the copper is also known as a signal peptide. Here the copper peptide, which is a metal, is delivered directly into the skin. However, the problem is that metals are highly unstable. They can discolor the formulation green. Thus, carrier peptides have not caught on hugely in the cosmeceutical realm. Signal peptides are the largest selling peptides and the most widely used peptide in the cosmeceutical realm today. Signal peptides, where the peptide basically induces a biologic event that then cascades and expands in its realm downstream, include the ability to increase the synthesis of glucosaminoglycans, or GAGs, to increase the production of collagen, elastin, and fibronectin. Of the signal peptides, the most widely used one is palmitoyl pentapeptide, known as PAL-KTTKS, a peptide formed of lysine, threonine, lysine, serine that is linked to palmitic acid, which is a free fatty acid carrier molecule, to get it into the skin. In vitro, this particular signal peptide was shown to increase the stimulation of collagen 1, 3, and 4. And by acting as a signal, being only used in a concentration of 4 parts per million, it has a cascading effect. Signal peptides have been shown to improve the appearance of the skin. However, it's always challenging to know whether it's the moisturizer working or whether it's the peptide itself. And finally, the last type of peptide is known as a neurotransmitter peptide, designed to inhibit the release of acetylcholine at the neuromuscular junction. This peptide is supposed to mimic botulinum toxin because both the toxin and the peptide modulate SNAP25. Here we see acetylhexapeptide 3 mimics the N-terminal end of SNAP25, which prohibits the protein of the snare complex from forming. However, these are very challenging peptides because the peptide, first of all, must reach the neuromuscular junction, must be replenished to achieve duration of effect, must be present in sufficient concentration for the peptide to work, and of course must arrive at the neuromuscular junction and inhibit acetylcholine release. Thus, there are still some technologic challenges revolving around peptides. Growth factors and cytokines are another important area, and we basically have a little more science around these particular ingredients. The most commonly used growth factors in cosmeceuticals include TGF-beta1, that's transforming growth factor beta-1, which induces keratinocyte migration, epidermal growth factor, also known as EGF, which induces epidermal proliferation, PDGF, which is platelet-derived growth factor, which induces macrophage activation and matrix production, and finally FGF, which is fibroblast growth factor, such as the activity of the secretions of the cryptomphalus aspersa, which induces fibroblast proliferation and migration. Thus, there are a variety of growth factors that are used in cosmeceuticals, with EGF and FGF being the most common. Now, where do you get these growth factors? Well, in some particular formulations, these growth factors and cytokines come from stem cell conditioned media. It's important to recognize that it is not the stem cells that are present in these products, but rather the media in which the stem cells have been grown. This is an example of a bioreactor that's used to grow stem cells, and once the stem cells become confluent, basically, the stem cell conditioned media is removed, and it is the stem cell conditioned media that contains the products that stem cells produce that are actually put in cosmeceuticals. Now, stem cells can be derived not only from animal origin, but also from plant origin. An example of an ingredient that's derived from animals is the Cryptophallus aspersa snail egg extract. This ingredient in vitro has been shown to demonstrate improved stem cell migration and differentiation, promote extracellular matrix formation, improve cell adhesion, and finally stimulate the migration of epidermal keratinocytes and dermal fibroblasts. I actually studied this particular ingredient and presented my results in the Journal of Drugs and Dermatology in an article entitled "The Role of Natural Mollusk Egg-Derived Ingredients in Facial Appearance." Here I enrolled 40 subjects, ages 40 to 70 years with photoaging. The subjects applied the product that contained the natural mollusk egg-derived ingredient twice daily for a period of 3 months. Indeed, what we were able to show in the results is a 13% reduction in eye contour wrinkles, a 10% reduction in forehead wrinkles, a 53% reduction in roughness, and a 26% improvement in brightness. In addition, the instrumental analysis showed a 39% improvement in elasticity, with all of these values being highly statistically significant, indicating that stem cell-derived ingredients, such as mollusk egg-derived ingredients, can have an important effect in photoaging. These are some examples of the photographs that were derived from that particular study. Here you see softening of the nasolabial fold after 12 weeks of use. In this particular set of photographs, we're focusing on the marionette lines from the corner of the mouth to the corner of the jowl area. And here you can see lifting and softening of the jowl line after 12 weeks of use. Here we're focusing on wrinkles around the eyes. You can see these are people with fairly pronounced photoaging, and you can see a softening of the crow's feet or the periorbicular lines, where you see improvement in softening after 12 weeks of product use. Thus, in summary, what can we say about the skin health and beauty pyramid? Well, there are 3 important levels. There is the protection, which is the basis and the fundamentals of the pyramid, which involves the use of sunscreens with an SPF 30+, supplemented by antioxidants, and further supplemented by the use of DNA repair items. The middle layer of the pyramid focuses on renewal. Ingredients that can renew the skin include the use of retinoids, either prescription or over-the-counter, and alpha hydroxy acids. And then finally, at the top of the pyramid, we have activation and regeneration, which can be delivered through the use of peptides and growth factors. Thus, by addressing protection, followed by renewal, followed by activation and regeneration, you can use the Skin Health and Beauty Pyramid to develop unique and customized skincare routines for your patients. Furthermore, the organization of the three-layer pyramid, a structure that patients can easily relate to, can assist patients in compliance and understanding how to use their beauty and skincare regimen, and also how to be compliant, to understand why these three levels of the pyramid are important in achieving skin health and beauty. Thus, the pyramid is an important structure not only for dermatologists, but also for patients to organize and arrive at customized skin health and beauty regimens for their patients. Thank you very much.